The story begins with Sojiro Sakagami, a 16-year-old high school student exhausted as he climbs a long, steep hill. He grumbles quietly, annoyed that his school is built in such an inconvenient place. Rumor has it the founder loved high places, but Sojiro just thinks that was a dumb idea. As he struggles upward, he figures he'll be fashionably late. Suddenly, a girl races past him on a bicycle. He's shocked that anyone could ride a bike up such a steep hill with such ease. She stops ahead, looks back, and casually calls out to him. She guesses he's a second year and tells him to hop on the bike. They're both going to be late. Sojiro hesitates, but then climbs on. As they ride, he apologizes and promises to repay her somehow. She waves it off, saying it's no big deal, and proudly adds she's as strong as an ox. Her confidence catches him off guard, but he doesn't ask questions. Instead, he notices her skirt. It's shorter than the school standard. He remembers that third years sometimes modify their uniforms like that. Curious how she knew his year, he's about to ask, but she brushes the question aside. He checks his phone and sees they're already late. Once they reach the school, he buys her a soda from the vending machine as thanks. She smiles, accepts it, and apologizes again for not getting there sooner. Sojiro reassures her. It's fine, even if they only catch the second period. He watches her carefully, wondering if she's a third year or maybe a transfer student. Then, out of the blue, she brushes her bangs aside and shyly asks if he has any friends. The question throws him off, but he eventually says he has a few. She doesn't say much in response. Instead, she says she's good at divination. That surprises him. The more she talks, the more mysterious she seems. With a chuckle, she explains how her fortune-telling often scares people away. Her friends leave after she reads their fortunes, like it's a curse. She shares a story about someone who asked for a compatibility reading. The result was so bad that she gave weird advice. That person never came back. Sojiro is shocked. He asks why she would say something like that and expect people to stay. She changes the topic and offers to tell his fortune. She asks if anything's bothering him. When he doesn't answer, she teases that he just wants her to leave. Sojiro laughs and awkwardly admits he wants a girlfriend, an older one. Her face shifts into something he can't describe. Confused? Horrified? He tries to laugh it off with a joke, but it doesn't land. Frustrated, he asks if it's really that wrong to be interested in someone older. Instead of answering, she rolls her bangs back and asks to see his hand. He gives it to her, thinking maybe she doesn't dislike him after all. Then his eyes drift to her half-unbuttoned shirt. But before he can get lost in thought, she looks at his palm and smiles. "As I thought," she says, "you're destined to be with someone younger than you." She adds confidently that it won't be long before he gets a girlfriend, and she'll be a kuhai, a younger student. Sojiro is confused. He doesn't feel like he connects with younger girls. Before he can respond, she tells him it's already been decided, then walks away. She says he's welcome to visit the Divination Club anytime. As she leaves, Sojiro watches her go, thinking about how strange but interesting she is. He realizes he never even asked for her name. Meanwhile, the girl, Inuki Asuka, arrives in her own classroom. The teacher scolds her for being late on the first day. She blames it on a flat bike tire, classic excuse, but her mind stays on Sojiro and his wish for an older girlfriend. She remembers the fortune she read and decides to keep her own year level a secret from him, for now. Even though she tries to brush it off, she finds herself blushing when she thinks about his reactions. She tells herself it doesn't bother her, but it clearly does. Later, Sojiro decides to find the Divination Club and meet that strange girl again. He stares at the club board. It's a mess and doesn't look official at all. Still, he steps inside. Inside, he finds Mizuki chewing on bread. She turns to him with a neutral face. "Can I eat in here?" he asks. She swallows and snaps, "Who the hell are you?" Shocked, Sojiro stares at her. "You don't remember me." After a moment, she smirks and says she was just joking. Across the room, Sojiro is overwhelmed with emotion. Almost tearing up, he pulls out a chair and sits down across from Mizuki, asking if she always eats lunch alone. Mizuki shrugs and says she has no friends. So yeah, this is normal. As Sojiro settles in front of her, she narrows her eyes. "Why are you sitting there?" she asks sharply. He casually replies, "I just wanted to have lunch with my beloved senpai, that's all." Mizuki smirks. "Smooth talker, aren't you?" Then she slightly teases, "Not to brag, but I am adorable." Sojiro raises an eyebrow. "It's kind of weird to compliment yourself, isn't it?" Mizuki suddenly stands up, grabs him by the chin and leans in. "Say that again to my face if you dare." Panicked, Sojiro throws up his hands. Okay. You're undeniably cute," he blurts out. Mizuki blushes for a second, but regains her composure. She pulls out a crystal ball, announcing it's time for a special divination. Sojiro watches, thinking maybe she's just shy about compliments. But then he notices how awkwardly she's holding the ball. He silently predicts something bad is going to happen. Sure enough, It slips from her hands and shatters on the floor. Mizuki stares at the broken pieces in shock, her expression dark. Instead of crying, she dramatically points at Sojiro. "This is your fate," she declares, then mutters that she might as well go home. But before she leaves, she spins around, grabs his neck, and shouts, "It's pathetic that you can't change your own fate. My reading is absolute." Sojiro, flustered, yells, "Wait, are you trying to break my neck too?" He then blurts out, "I can feel your body pressed against me," which makes the moment even more chaotic. Mizuki freezes, realizing what he just said. Then, to his shock, she hugs him tighter with a dreamy look, dying in a cute girl's arms. That's every guy's dream, right? Sojiro mentally disagrees. "Nope, not me." He shouts that they should clean up instead. Mizuki lets go and agrees, saying the advisor will be mad if they leave the mess. As Sojiro watches her pick up glass with her bare hands, he mutters that she must eat gorillas for breakfast to be that strong. Unbothered, Mizuki kneels and continues cleaning. When she tries to grab a sharp shard, Sojiro grabs her hand and pulls it away. "Don't do reckless stuff like that," he says seriously. "This is the guy's job." Moved by his sincerity, Mizuki blushes. After a pause, she quietly agrees and turns away to hide her face. "Well, at least you're taking responsibility now. Thanks." While helping clean up, Sojiro accidentally cuts himself. Mizuki grabs his hand to check the injury. Then, without warning, she makes his bloody thumb touch a piece of paper. "What are you doing?" Sojiro cries. "I'm using your blood to make a seal for the club," she says calmly. He freaks out. "Are you insane?" She sighs, saying, "This is just the kind of club I run." Surprisingly, Sojiro responds, "You know what? I don't hate it." Mizuki grins and agrees. Sojiro silently wonders how he's ended up in such a bizarre situation. Before he can think more, she grabs his hand again and licks his wound. "Magic healing," she says casually, walking toward the door. "I'll go submit our club application." Sojiro stands there, dumbfounded. What kind of rabbit hole have I fallen into? Meanwhile, Mizuki walks down the hall, cheeks red and giddy. She's thrilled she got his thumbprint. The next day, Sojiro is getting ready for school. The TV plays in the background. It's a perfect day to go out. Now it's time for Namazu-senpai's fortune corner. Hearing that, Sojiro mutters, "I still don't know my senpai's name." Just then, someone scolds him from behind. "Can't you at least put your dirty clothes in the basket?" a girl says. He groans and agrees, asking her to tone down the yelling this early. She snaps back, "I'll stop when you grow up." Sojiro claims he's the definition of maturity. The news continues in the background as he heads to school. At the Divination Clubroom, Sojiro drops into a chair and tells his senpai to start with the basics. "Like your name." Mizuki, holding a box with a strange object inside, dodges the question. "Why? What do you want to know? My shoe size." "If you're offering, I'd prefer something else," Sojiro jokes. She stands up but slips slightly. Sojiro glances at her shoes and suddenly notices. They're first-year slippers. He freezes. "Wait, but these are first-year slippers." Mizuki panics. I didn't know we had a door over there." "What are you talking about?" Sojiro asks, confused. Scrambling for an excuse, she blurts out, "I knew they were first-year slippers. I just like the color." Sojiro stares at her, stunned. "You're a first year?" Mizuki sighs and finally admits, "I'm a repeater." Sojiro leaps up and apologizes, not sure what to say. "You repeated a whole year?" Mizuki smiles faintly, but it fades when Sojiro mutters, That explains why you're kind of lacking." Back in the club room, Mizuki, nearly in tears, snaps that repeating a year has nothing to do with not having friends, and she finds Sojiro's comment insulting. Sojiro panics. He realizes he said the wrong thing. Desperate to change the subject, he reminds her she still hasn't told him her name. Mizuki waves it off and says her name is Pai. Sojiro blinks. "You really say the most random things." She smirks and jokes that there's nothing to say about her. Not her name, not even her race. Sojiro stares at her, shocked. "Wait, what do you mean by race? Are you even human?" Mizuki grins, replying, "My name is Senpai, my race is unknown." Frustrated, Sojiro wonders if she's really okay saying things that weird. In response, Mizuki waves the club application papers in his face and tells him to just join already. He takes them reluctantly, but instead of filling them out, he suddenly grabs her hand. Her eyes widen in shock, and she quickly pulls her hand back. "Did you bring an umbrella today?" she asks. "No," Sojiro says. "The weather forecast said it'd be sunny." Mizuki twists her hair between her fingers and tells him to stop by the shoe rack after school. She has something for him. Sojiro looks out the window, wondering what she's up to. Suddenly, smack. She hits him on the head, telling him to stop mumbling and to follow her. Startled, he asks what she meant by something. Smirking, Mizuki says it's an umbrella, with her included. Sojiro freezes, staring in disbelief. This girl's an idiot, he thinks. She opens the umbrella, inviting him to share it with her, even offering to go wherever he wants. Embarrassed, he steps under it, trying not to let his thoughts get ahead of him. He asks why she didn't bike to school today. Blushing, Mizuki mumbles that senpai takes the bus when it rains. Sojiro jokes that she sounds like a snake when he calls her senpai, so naturally he keeps calling her that, just to annoy her. At the bus stop, Mizuki asks if he's taking the bus too. He nods, saying he'll ride it partway home. She holds out her hand. "Give me the umbrella back." He hands it over. She smiles and says, "See you at school tomorrow," and starts to walk away. Sojiro blinks. "Wait, don't forget your stop." Mizuki glances back, still smiling. "Don't catch a cold." Then she walks off, leaving Sojiro stunned. He stands there, feeling completely lost. What was that? He wonders. He even thought about seeing her off like some kind of gentleman, but now he's annoyed with himself. Meanwhile, Mizuki reflects on her lie, that she's a high school repeater. She can't believe Sojiro actually believed it. Why is she working so hard to keep up the act? She sighs, remembering that Sojiro said he likes older girls. That's why she lied. She didn't want him to think less of her. Mizuki blushes in frustration as she remembers eating lunch together and sharing the umbrella on the way home. The memory sends a chill down her spine. As the sun rises, she quietly folds up her umbrella and decides, "I'll stay as senpai. For now." Ubayashi confidently walks up to Sojiro, saying he'll figure out his personality. He shows Sojiro some pictures and asks what kind of girl he likes. After a short pause, Sojiro picks option C with a small smile. Ubayashi dramatically announces that Sojiro likes girls with big boobs. Embarrassed, Sojiro doesn't know what to say. Just then, Mizuki walks by. She gently tugs on Sojiro's shirt to get his attention. He turns to her and asks if she's going to a different classroom, but Mizuki stays quiet, staring at him. Curious, Ubayashi asks if she's Sojiro's friend. Sojiro explains she's a third-year student and introduces them. Ubayashi, being polite, reaches out to shake her hand, but Mizuki hides behind Sojiro. He looks back at her, confused. Ubayashi jokes, asking if she thinks he's suspicious. Sojiro lightly says Mizuki is like a small animal, trying to make her feel more comfortable. Ubayashi offers her candy, saying it's not weird. Mizuki finally speaks, her voice soft but clear, and says no to the candy. Both boys are surprised. Ubayashi quickly offers a deal. If Mizuki becomes his friend, he'll tell her a secret about Sojiro. Sojiro immediately says no, but Mizuki peeks out, curious. Ubayashi leans closer and whispers that Sojiro likes big boobs. Mizuki narrows her eyes and asks Sojiro if it's true. Caught off guard, he nervously says yes. To his surprise, Mizuki proudly says hers are big too, waiting to see his reaction. When asked more, he shyly admits he likes them. Instead of getting mad, Mizuki smiles and says he's honest. Not wanting to be left out, Ubayashi brags about himself and tries to give Mizuki candy again, but she politely refuses. Suddenly, Sojiro remembers Mizuki is a fortune teller. He looks at Ubayashi, and Mizuki confirms her readings are usually accurate. Ubayashi gets excited. Sojiro thinks for a moment. Her readings often involve actions. Are they affected by what you do? He remembers Mizuki gives readings through touch, but hasn't seen her do a palm reading. Mizuki quietly tells Ubayashi to show his hand. He does, and after looking at it, she suddenly says, "You're going to die soon." Both boys freeze. Ubayashi stares at Sojiro and asks if he's really going to die. Mizuki jokes about carving his lifeline with a chisel. Then she tells Sojiro he dropped his notebook. Flustered, he tries to get her to go back to fortune-telling, but Mizuki leans in with a serious look. Panicking, he blurts out that he was thinking about her chest, then quickly adds he meant she often leaves her shirt buttons undone. Mizuki looks down, then back up, realizing he made things worse. Sojiro goes pale. Mizuki gets even closer and whispers that she'll do it in the clubroom. Shocked, Sojiro jumps back and nervously asks what she means. Just then, the school bell rings. Mizuki walks off, telling him not to forget to come to the clubroom later, giving him a playful nickname as she leaves. Sojiro watches her, confused. Turning back to Ubayashi, he says they should go. Ubayashi, still thinking about the fortune, gives Sojiro a weird nickname. Annoyed, Sojiro tells him to stop. He's thinking. Then he reminds Ubayashi they have to turn in their essays. They both suddenly remember. Ubayashi panics, asking what's going to happen. Sojiro sighs and says his grades are going to fail. Ubayashi gasps. Mizuki's fortune was right. Trying to calm him down, Sojiro says he was also surprised at first. In the clubroom, Mizuki reads Sohiro's palm, explaining the meaning of the lines. Sohiro doesn't seem impressed and says he's been thinking about something. Her readings don't always match up. Then he suddenly asks if he can read her palm. Mizuki shrugs and agrees. Sojiro takes her hand, looks at it carefully, and says she has many sixth sense lines. Mizuki raises an eyebrow and says he knows a lot about fortune-telling. Sojiro admits he just looked it up online. Smirking, he says he might be better than her soon. Mizuki quickly pulls her hand back, smiling mischievously, and suggests they play a betting game instead. The scene changes to Sojiro's sister, Ren, who comes home and sees a pile of bread. She asks their mom about it. Their mom says Sojiro bought it. Ren asks where he is, and her mom says he's in the bath. She adds that Sojiro said they could eat the bread if they wanted. Later, Sojiro comes out and asks where the bread is. Ren is confused and asks why he's making a big deal. It's too early for lunch or dinner. He seriously asks if she knows what happened to the bread. Ren, looking nervous, lies and says she doesn't know. Then she asks why he's acting weird about bread. Sojiro gives her a sharp look and asks why she's being so polite all of a sudden. Then it hits him. The meaning of Mizuki's fortune and their bet. Ren looks confused at first, then realizes it's part of a fortune game. The story jumps back to an earlier moment, where Mizuki is explaining the rules of their game. The weather doesn't matter. What matters is that the winner will be the one who correctly guesses what will happen tomorrow. Sojiro asks what the loser has to do. Mizuki cleverly says that the loser has to do whatever the winner says. Sojiro is surprised and asks if she really means anything. Mizuki confidently says yes, and even lets him decide what they should bet on. They agree to guess what Sojiro will eat for lunch tomorrow. He mentions that he usually cooks it himself. Mizuki is amused. She didn't expect him to pick something so simple. She playfully pokes his forehead, says she's already won, and reveals that tomorrow's lunch will be rice. Sojiro panics. Rice is exactly what he was planning, even though he had bought a bunch of bread. Back in the present, Ren tries to calm him down, pointing out that they still have rice. But Sojiro, clearly upset, questions her seriousness and starts to tear up. To comfort him, Ren offers to scrub his back when he gets home. He gives her a suspicious glare and asks if she ate all the bread. Ren quickly shakes her head and says she doesn't know what he's talking about. He accuses her of lying, saying she doesn't normally talk like that. Ren, trying to cover her tracks, says it doesn't matter, because she loves her brother. Sojiro mumbles that it's not surprising at all. She pouts, insisting she didn't take the bread and would never lie about it. Sojiro sighs, pats her head, and tells her not to worry. She immediately tells him to stop, calling him weird. Then Sojiro says that because she took the bread, all they'll have for lunch tomorrow is rice. At school the next day, Sojiro grumpily tells Mizuki that she was right, and she won. Mizuki smiles proudly and says she already knew. She adds that now he can't claim he'll ever beat her at fortune-telling. Sojiro rolls his eyes and asks if that's what she was so worried about. Then Mizuki reminds him it's time for his punishment. Sojiro quickly cuts in and says she can't ask for anything weird. She laughs and tells him all she wants is for him to officially join her club, and she won't take no for an answer. Sojiro, not bothered, takes the form from her. Curious, she asks what he would have made her do if she had lost. He hesitates, then says he was hoping she'd tell him her real name. He sighs, saying his sister ruined his chance to win and find out the truth. Touched by his honesty, Mizuki says she'll tell him her name anyway. Sojiro's eyes widen, and he gets emotional, but she still won't tell him directly. She rolls her eyes, calls him annoying, then grabs his face, pulls him closer, and says her name is Mizuki Isuka, and that she'll be in his care from now on. Sojiro, stunned, asks if she just called him by name, and calls her Mizuki-senpai. She corrects him and says he should call her Asuka-senpai instead. Sojiro stubbornly keeps calling her Mizuki-senpai. They go back and forth until Mizuki, frustrated, punches him in the face. He groans in pain, hides his face, and mutters that he's not done yet. Then, building his courage, he softly calls her Asuka. Mizuki freezes, her face turning red. She stammers, asking if it's not too early for that. Sojiro dramatically collapses to the floor, leaving her shocked. She quickly runs over and asks if he's okay, but Sojiro, still on the floor, casually waves her off and says he's fine. Later, an old teacher notices Sojiro and asks if he's looking for a fortune-telling club advisor. He says that's unusual, since the club is kind of strange. Leaning in, he quietly tells Sojiro to talk to Tsukimi-sensei. Just as he says the name, someone nearby turns. Tsukimi herself. She looks at Sojiro and asks if he wants her to teach him. With a smirk, she walks over and sarcastically wonders if he's here to complain about her messy hair again. The teacher bluntly says he does have a problem with Tsukimi, her hair, clothes, and work ethic. Basically everything. But he brushes it off and says Sojiro's here for her, not him. Watching Tsukimi, Sojiro thinks she's strange. She notices him staring and gives him a questioning look. He hands her a club registration form and explains why he's there. Tsukimi briefly glances at the form and leads him outside. As they walk, she casually asks what this is all about. Sojiro, a bit confused, realizes she hasn't really understood yet. Then it clicks. She gets that he's here to join. With a playful wink, she jokes, "You didn't come all this way to propose, did you?" Then adds she wouldn't blame him. She knows she's attractive. Flustered, Sojiro thinks she weirdly reminds him of Senpai. Tsukimi teases him, asking if he joined because of Asuka's body. He quickly denies it, but she just laughs, spins around, and teasingly calls him Aoni. When he corrects her, she turns back, a little embarrassed but still insists on the question. Sojiro wonders what's wrong with this school. Tsukimi smirks, saying no high schooler joins such a strange club unless they have a hidden reason. Sojiro hesitates, then explains that yes, the club was weird at first, but the mystery behind it drew him in. Even if Senpai were a guy, he'd still have joined. It just seems fun. Tsukimi taps her fingers, thinking. She admits she hadn't planned on recruiting today. Just then, someone nearby murmurs Sojiro's name, distracting him. Seizing the moment, Tsukimi snatches the form, opens the door, and announces that he's officially registered. With a small smile, she says that despite how she seems, Asuka does have a weakness, and she promises to support Sojiro. But she warns him, don't open the cabinet in the club room. Sojiro looks skeptical. Senpai, who's always so confident, has a weakness? Just then, he spots her frantically trying to catch a butterfly. When she sees him, she panics and yells for help. The butterfly's too close. Shockingly, she's waving a wooden sword at it. The butterfly lands on the blade, and she jumps straight into Sojiro's arms. Flustered, he tries to say how awkward this is, and in that moment, Sojiro realizes his reason for joining the club has changed. Mizuki trembles, repeating that the butterfly is going to kill her. Meanwhile, Sojiro, overwhelmed, admits to himself that he doesn't hate this. But isn't this kind of bad? Trying to act cool, he carefully catches the butterfly and tosses it outside. Smirking, he asks, "Did I look cool?" Mizuki replies bluntly, "You did, until you said that line." Still confused, Sojiro asks if she's really scared of bugs. Mizuki shakes her head and says she even talks to them on her days off. Suddenly, Tsukimi appears behind them and sarcastically says that sounds fun. Her tone shifts as she places a hand on Mizuki's head and asks if she messed with the cabinet. Mizuki freaks out and denies it, but Tsukimi narrows her eyes and points at the wooden sword. Sojiro watches Mizuki. She looks really nervous. Tsukimi turns to him and asks if he disobeyed her too. He quickly denies it. Sighing, Tsukimi tells Mizuki to return the furniture. Mizuki agrees and grabs boxes to tidy up. As she walks toward a table, she spots another butterfly. Her eyes go wide with fear, and she freaks out again. Tsukimi yells at Sojiro to stop her. He rushes forward and grabs Mizuki before she can go wild. Watching them, Tsukimi laughs and asks if his talk with the butterfly went well. Red-faced, Mizuki demands to be let go. Tsukimi smirks and asks if they were bitten. She's seen it happen before. Shocked, Sojiro asks what she means. Bitten by a butterfly? Tsukimi explains that someone was affected the last time the cabinet was opened, glancing knowingly at Mizuki. Just then, Sojiro notices a weird blister forming on his hand. Panicked, he shows them. Tsukimi, completely unfazed, just tells him to sleep it off. Sojiro shouts in disbelief. Mizuki pats his shoulder and thanks him for helping her. But Sojiro yells that he doesn't want to die. After that, poor Sojiro develops a serious fear of bugs and spends the next 2 days stuck in bed from the mystery blister. Before going to school, Sojiro listened to the news. It said Sagittarius would have bad luck today. He sighed and said, "That sucks." Just then, Mizuki came out of her room, yawning. He closed the door and told her he was leaving. As soon as he stepped outside, his foot slipped and he slammed into a tree. His lemon tea spilled all over his head. Later, when he got to school, Mizuki noticed how messy he looked. She asked if he was having a bad day. Sojiro sighed and said, "Everyone has days like this." He admitted he looked terrible. Mizuki grabbed his tie, asked what was wrong with his clothes, and tried to fix them. Sojiro casually said he just had bad luck today. But when Mizuki didn't seem impressed, he quickly apologized for sounding negative. As Mizuki walked off, Sojiro noticed something strange. His tie was missing. He spotted it around Mizuki's neck. She simply said that helping people was her club's top goal. While fixing his hair, she teased him about his jeans. In the end, Sojiro was left shocked, comparing his hair to a pile of fertilizer. He yelled, wondering what she was doing to it. Mizuki smirked and said a little makeover didn't hurt during times like this. Sojiro agreed, thinking maybe she was right. Just then, something hit him hard on the head. He shouted in pain. Some boys by a window apologized and asked if anyone got hurt. Sojiro told them he was fine, but they laughed and teased him about his weird hairstyle. Sojiro clenched the ball in anger, upset by his bad luck. Mizuki looked at him and said maybe the makeover wasn't enough. She smirked, and Sojiro asked what else she had in mind. A moment later, loud, excited sounds came from the room. Sojiro stepped out, now dressed like a punk straight from a host club. Mizuki burst into laughter at his new look. On the other side, Sojiro thought Mizuki was just playing with him. Through her laughs, Mizuki told him that earlier she had seen a kitten. When she went near it, lots of funny things had happened. She kept laughing, and even though Sojiro felt embarrassed, he was happy she was having fun. After a while, Mizuki calmed down and acted normal again. Sojiro asked if he could give her a makeover too. She agreed. Once she sat down, he started styling her hair. After a bit, she took off her jacket and asked him what he was doing. He said he was just taking a photo of his work. As he looked at her, she suddenly pulled him closer. Sojiro stared in shock. She said they should take a photo together. He agreed and took out his phone. As he tried to snap the picture, she tapped his hand, making things feel awkward. Worried, he asked if she was okay. She said she was fine. After taking the picture, Sojiro looked at it and thought he might use it as his phone wallpaper. He smiled at how relaxed they looked. Mizuki said she was going to lock up. He offered to close the windows for her. As he did, he said he thought his bad luck was finally over. Mizuki looked at him and asked if that meant she was the one who made him happy. Sojiro froze, wondering if she was proposing to him. Then Mizuki asked straight out if he was proposing to her. Shocked, he slipped on a ball. Mizuki caught him, and his head landed against her chest. In a panic, Sojiro realized he was too quick to think his bad luck had ended. Mizuki smirked and playfully asked if she brought him joy. Locking eyes with her, Sojiro quietly admitted that yes, she did. He knew deep down that he could have avoided this mess if he had really tried. Meanwhile, Mizuki felt her heart racing and wondered why it was beating so fast. Blushing, she stared at him. Sojiro awkwardly asked when she planned to let him go. His voice was shaky. The next day, Mizuki showed Sojiro her new swimsuit and asked for his opinion, but all he could focus on was how she looked in it. She explained that it was a hand-me-down and felt a bit loose. In a burst of awkwardness, Sojiro blurted out, "Are they fake?" She shot him a sharp look, wondering what he meant. Flustered, Sojiro quickly said he was talking about the swimsuit's age and fit, not her chest. With a playful smile, Mizuki confirmed that her chest was very real. She warned him that if the swimsuit slipped, things could get awkward. Totally flustered, Sojiro stammered that he would introduce himself first, then realized what he had just said. As soon as the words left his mouth, he froze in regret. Trying to cover it up, he quickly changed the subject, looking around and asking if this was the shop she mentioned. Mizuki nodded and told him to think of it as an out-of-school activity for the Divination Club. As Sojiro sat down to wait, Mizuki started trying on swimsuits. After a while, she stepped out wearing one and confidently asked his opinion. Keeping a straight face, he said it looked bold. Mizuki paused, confused, and asked him to explain. When he repeated himself, she huffed and went back inside to change. She tried on several more swimsuits, asking what he thought each time, but every time Sojiro just said the same word, bold. Getting annoyed, Mizuki clenched her fists. Sensing her frustration, Sojiro quickly apologized, admitting he was just joking. Inside, he thought about how great she looked in all the swimsuits and how cute she seemed every time. Expecting her to get mad, he braced himself, but instead Mizuki calmly adjusted his collar. She then said she would buy all of the swimsuits. As he watched her, Sojiro noticed how happy she seemed whenever he called her cute. When she came back, he asked why she didn't buy the school swimsuit like she had planned. Mizuki looked confused. He joked that her memory must be tiny, like 5 megabytes, if she had forgotten already. Embarrassed, she admitted she had never planned to go to the beach before because she had no one to go with. As they walked off together, Mizuki suddenly turned around with a big smile. She proudly told Sojiro that she had won this year, saying their summer at Hadad would be even more exciting. Sojiro smiled back, saying it looked like a busy summer was ahead for her. Mizuki playfully asked if he'd be up for more shopping, and he happily agreed, saying it would be fun. They visited many shops, bought clothes and accessories, and even took a photo together while drinking bubble tea. At the end of the day, Mizuki thanked him for coming along. Caught in the moment, Sojiro said it felt like they'd been on an after-school date, but Mizuki quickly teased him, reminding him it was just a club activity. With a sigh, he joked that they looked more like a couple dating for 3 months. Mizuki laughed and said there was nothing wrong with that. Then she asked if he was free afterward, since they still had some time. Sojiro smiled and reminded her she had already taken him on a date. Checking his phone, he noticed he had to make dinner soon, so he would need to go home shortly. Out of nowhere, Mizuki complained that her hands hurt from carrying all the shopping bags. She stopped for a second, then her face brightened with an idea. Curious, Sojiro asked what was on her mind. With a smile, she said her house had cockroaches and asked if he could help her get rid of them. Sojiro paused and asked if she really wanted him to come over. He joked about using a cockroach to tell fortunes, making her glare at him as she demanded to know if he was making fun of her. Flustered, he stuttered that going to her house didn't seem like a good idea. It felt strange in many ways. Mizuki, confused, asked what was so bad about it. Panicking, he insisted it was fine and told himself to just accept it. As Mizuki let out a deep sigh, Sojiro finally agreed. He looked at her, trying to clear his anxious thoughts, gently tapping his face to stay focused. He reminded himself he could handle it. Watching him, Mizuki joked that he sometimes really scared her. Later, she asked her mom when dinner would be ready, only to get scolded for calling her brother like that. Her mom reassured her that she trusted Sojiro to behave properly since he was also a student. At Mizuki's apartment, Sojiro noticed the room looked untouched. It felt odd that she invited him over and then went to take a shower. While putting away groceries, he found the fridge completely empty. That made him wonder if she really lived alone. He remembered Mizuki claiming she lived by herself and cooked simple meals. She had gone to take a bath. When she came out of the shower, they argued about her actions before she went to change. She reminded him he'd already seen her in a swimsuit before. He mumbled that she always overreacted about everything and stepped away. From inside, Mizuki heard clattering in the kitchen and called out to ask what he was doing. Casually, Sojiro answered that he had started cooking dinner. Even though he hesitated at first, his body moved by instinct. Mizuki shrugged and said she didn't mind. She added that he could be surprisingly confident sometimes. Looking confused, Sojiro met her eyes as she patted him on the back, teasing him about showing off. Annoyed, he muttered under his breath that she was a pain and asked where the plates were. Mizuki grabbed them and said she bought those plates just for him. Sojiro stared at her. Surprised, she was 2 years older than him. Shaking off the thought, he told her to start her homework. Mizuki grinned and sarcastically asked if he was her mom now. Ignoring her, Sojiro kept cooking. But Mizuki stayed nearby, watching him closely. Her constant staring annoyed him, and he finally told her she was acting like a child. He patted her head and asked if she wanted to help. She gave him a sharp look and warned him to stop treating her like a kid, or she'd hurt him. He told her to cut the tofu. Mizuki got a knife, and Sojiro nervously watched her. Seeing how she held it, he quickly stopped her and reminded her to curl her fingers to stay safe. Gently taking her hand, he showed her the right way. Their eyes met briefly before Mizuki grumbled that he really was bossy. Sojiro apologized and said he just wanted her to be safe. With a small grin, Mizuki teased that right now he was scarier than the knife. Suddenly, the rice cooker beeped. Sojiro turned to it and announced that the rice was ready. He was amazed at how fast modern cookers worked. Mizuki smiled softly but didn't say anything. Once the food was done, Sojiro served it and told her to eat. They ate together, and Mizuki lit up after her first bite. She said the food was delicious. Sojiro casually mentioned he often cooked at home, saying it was no big deal. But Mizuki kept praising his skills, making him smile with relief. He was happy she enjoyed it. He complimented her tofu cutting, and Mizuki proudly said it was perfect because she was awesome. Sojiro chuckled. As he looked outside, he noticed it had gotten late. He realized he might have stayed too long and said he should leave. Mizuki offered her spare futon if he wanted to stay, but he kindly said no. He needed to get home. She looked confused and asked if she'd said something wrong. Sojiro reassured her she hadn't and said he would still leave even if she wanted him to stay. Mizuki pointed out that she didn't have any umbrellas for him. He brushed it off, saying it wasn't raining. But the moment he opened the door, a heavy rain poured down. He stood there, shocked. Mizuki chuckled with a playful smirk and told him, jokingly serious, that there was no way he was leaving now. Sojiro turned to her, looking uneasy as she firmly shut the door behind him. The rain kept pouring outside. He asked Mizuki for an umbrella, but she refused, saying no umbrella could handle this storm. He thought about calling his dad, but his father wouldn't be home tonight. Determined, Sojiro said he'd leave anyway, but Mizuki softly called his name, making him stop. She admitted it had been a long time since she shared a meal with someone. She asked him to stay a little longer. Hesitating, Sojiro agreed. They sat together and watched TV as the rain fell. Even as his thoughts wandered, Sojiro found himself wondering, does Mizuki like me? But he quickly pushed the idea away, annoyed by how she ignored personal space. Trying to set some boundaries, he brought up the importance of proper behavior. He warned her that when a girl casually jumps on a guy, people might think badly of her. Mizuki didn't seem to care. Instead, she admired her reflection in the dark TV screen. "A cute girl always stares back at me," she said. Sojiro groaned in frustration. "Do you even understand what it means to invite a guy over like this?" he asked. But Mizuki didn't answer. Instead, she leaned against him, making him question her feelings all over again. Just as he felt the urge to hold her, Mizuki commented on the show. She pointed out how a similar moment led to an awkward situation. Startled, Sojiro quickly pulled away. Thankful he didn't act on his emotions. Then, suddenly, lightning struck, and the power went out. Mizuki grabbed onto him tightly, her voice shaky. "I'm scared," she admitted. Confused, Sojiro replied sarcastically, "Thanks for letting me know." But Mizuki still wouldn't let go. Frustrated, Sojiro reminded her, "You knew this was going to happen." But Mizuki just said, "Knowing it doesn't make it any easier to go through." As he pressed her for more details about her vision, she suddenly pulled him down with her, and they both collapsed onto the floor. Mizuki let out a soft laugh and teased, "We always end up like this, huh?" Exasperated, Sojiro asked, "Just how far can you see into the future?" Mizuki answered mysteriously, "I know everything, but I don't look too far ahead." She paused. "I only knew up to the blackout." Sojiro became serious. "Then why do you go through all this?" "Just for me." But before he could finish the question, Mizuki gently ran her fingers through his hair. "I do whatever I want," she said. "Nothing more, nothing less." Sojiro hesitated, then asked quietly, "What if I was having inappropriate thoughts about you?" Mizuki's cheeks turned red. She nervously asked, "What do you mean?" His heart pounded. He couldn't deny how he felt anymore. Mizuki leaned in, curious. "So, what do you plan to do next?" Sojiro stared at her, completely lost in thought, but no answer came to his lips.